Okay, now that we have the tower up, our next step is to complete the shelving. So I'm now going to locate the shelf, the lower shelf in the double hang section. And the lower shelf in a double hang section is 42 inches up from the floor, typically. So I'm going to put a small tick mark at 42 inches. I'm then going to take my level and draw a very, very faint line here. I said up top that you could not see the line, and that's the case, but here, because of the elevation of this shelf, if you draw a heavy line, you can actually see it after the fact. So just put some small tick marks here. And we do have an idea of where the studs are coming down based on what we found up top. So even just a few light marks in that general vicinity should be fine. So I've got a nice level line here extending all the way across to this side. Okay, we've now located vertically our 42-inch line, and then I've checked where the stud location is laterally. So I'm going to put in a couple more of these L-clips, very similar to what we did on the top shelf. So it's the top hole goes into your 42-inch line. And we'll put this one in the corner as well. Okay, then you can finish off this side, and then we'll move to the side brackets. Okay, so we finished putting our L-clips along the back wall. We've now put our shelf end clip on the right side wall. You can do this using the shelf method I discussed earlier, or you can use your level method. And now on the other side, we have to put another shelf end clip. This time it goes onto the tower side. So in this particular case, I'm going to use the level method. I extend a level line across to the left of my L-clip, and I put a little mark on the wall. From there, I then put my level on that mark, extend it across the tower side, and I put my shelf end clip, I should say, on my level where I've marked off where my shelf where my shelf rail is going to be located. And then I mark on the tower side where that shelf end clip is going to be situated. Okay, so that positions that shelf end clip. Okay, now that we have all of our hardware up on the walls and the side walls, what I want to do now is just do a double check before we finalize everything. It's very important to have all of our clips level with one another, so I'm going to do a check on that right now. Putting the level on the underside of the right shelf end clip and on the underside of the left shelf end clip. You can see that our bubble is right on, level here. And then I also like to put it at a corner and just make sure everything is level from front to back as well. So this one looks quite good as well. Okay, so our hardware is in quite good shape as far as being level. We now are going to want to cut the shelf length for this section, and something that we like to do is to put in an adjustable shelf here to kind of square up the tower in case there's any movement on this tower, so we know the measurement that we're after. So I've already put in 3 of the adjustable shelf pins, and this is the 4th one. They go in the rails for these adjustable shelves. So basically those get hammered in, and they get hammered in right up to the shoulder of that pin. We're going to just put the pin in, and this will help us with kind of fine-tuning the measurement that we're going to have to take for our shelf. You can see I've got quite a separation distance here. I think the tower is slightly bowed here, but that shelf will, when cut, it will push it back into position. So that's going to help out when we take our measurement for that, that front rail. Okay, we've now cut 2 additional shelves for our closet system, the first being the lower shelf for the double hang section, as well as the shelf on the left-hand side of the tower, that's for the long hang section. This shelf was positioned at 68 inches above the floor. All of the hardware was put in on the back walls. The shelf end clips have been secured. Okay, now that we have all of our shelving up, the next step is to install our angle brackets. Before you install your angle brackets, though, you want to attach the J-hooks. The J-hooks are the component that receive the garment rod and allows for a nice free slide mechanism. So the manner in which we attach the J-hooks are as follows. Put your angle bracket down on the floor. Your J-hook for the 16-inch shelving is situated 3 inches back from the front of your angle bracket. So right there. Okay, so I position that there. And what we like to do is we like to pre-drill the holes for our screws, just to make sure that there's no splitting of that wood. Okay, and then the screws with the rounded heads on them are used for the J-hooks. So we'll now screw those guys in. Okay, nice and secure there. These are the number 1 screws. I'm sorry, the 1 inch by number 8 screws. Okay, so now we have our J-hook attached to the angle bracket, and the next step will be putting up the angle bracket. Okay, now that we have the J-hook mounted to our angle bracket, the next step is to position the angle brackets on the wall. The instruction manuals show that the angle brackets are to be set in approximately 6 inches from the side walls, as well as 6 inches from the tower sides. That works out to be about the 4th slat in. So I'm going to take my angle bracket with J-hook that I mounted onto it up to the top shelf. I'm going to locate it 4 slats in, and I'm going to position it directly beneath that 4th slat. This can be up to this can be a 3rd slat if you want to make this a little closer to the wall, but the 4th slat in is a nice location. So I've got it directly underneath that 4th slat. I then put my level on the side to plumb up that angle bracket. Okay, there we go right there. And then to mark the wall where I want to drill a hole, I'll push the screw through that hole and pierce the wall so that I know where to screw it in. So you may or may not hit a stud at these locations. If you don't hit a stud, it's perfectly fine. You'll just pre-drill, you use one of the screw anchors, and you'll then screw the 3-inch screw through the angle bracket and into the screw anchor. Okay, we are now going to be affixing our angle brackets to the wall in this top shelf area. So on the right side, we are fortunate we hit a stud where that screw goes through the angle bracket. So we tighten that up and secured it to the wall here. A mushroom cap can then cover that hole to clean that location off. On this side, we did not hit a stud, so we had to install a screw anchor. So that's been done. Now to install this, we basically have pushed our 3-inch screw through the angle bracket. We're going to locate the screw anchor, and then we're going to just turn this up into place and locate that directly beneath the 4th slat in. So now the last step is really just securing our or tightening our screw. And again, just watch the torque on your drill. You want to make sure that you do not strip that screw anchor. So we'll take that in nice and slowly. If you want to tighten it up, once again, just with a hand driver to make sure it's snug, you can do that as well. Okay, so those are all in place. We're going to finish off the bottom angle brackets and then the angle brackets over here. And then we're going to come back and show you one last trick to help secure the angle brackets very firmly to the upper shelving. All right, we've now installed all of our angle brackets, both in the double hang section and then also over on the long hang section. And the last little tip that I want to share is just a way to provide further support to the angle bracket so that there is a connection between the angle bracket and the shelf. The instruction manual does not say that you are required to do this. The rods actually hold the angle bracket in position, but this provides a little bit further support. We like to use a pocket screw or any other type of a screw that has a rounded head on it, primarily so it's not going to snag any clothing that you put onto that shelf. But using this 1 1/8" pocket screw, basically we set it back about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch from this edge, hold the angle bracket in place, and come down to support the angle bracket into the slat. So the angle bracket now is not moving anywhere. It provides a nice finished feature on top of the shelf. And you can then move on to the next step and put on your garment rods. Okay, now that we've got our angle brackets installed, our next step is to actually install the garment rod. So we've already put the garment rod on 2 of our sections, but we'll show you how to put it on the top section. So the first thing is to take your measurement, and we'd like to take our measurement right at the location where the garment rod is going to sit. So that is right on the tops of the J-hooks. So here we have 32 inches from sidewall to the side of the tower. So the measurement for our rod, we like to back it off 1/2 of an inch, and the reason being is because we have to put end caps on each end of the rod, and then also so that you can put that rod in and not scratch your sidewalls. So 31.5 inches is going to be our cut lengths. So I'll measure off on our rod here, 31.5 inches. Now if you have a pipe cutter, this is the best and quickest way to do this. So we're going to cut this one using a pipe cutter. Okay, so there's my 31.5 inch length. Now if you don't have a pipe cutter, you can also cut your rod with a hacksaw. That works perfectly fine. I've already started a cut here with the hacksaw, so I'll just finish that right now. Okay, so there's the finished cut using a hacksaw. Okay, now that we've cut our garment bar to length, the next step is to install the garment bar end caps. And I've already installed one at one end. The other one I'll put in now. Basically, this is a friction fit. You push it in and give it a turn so that it snugs it up, and then also generally gets centered on that bar. So now we've got our bar ready to be installed. Okay, so that looks like it's a perfect fit. We've got about 1/8 of an inch between the sidewall and the end caps, so we're ready to install it. And the way you do that is with these self-tapping screws. Self-tapping screws go up through the underside of the J-hook and into the rod. So insert it through the hole here. You do have to grab the rod and pull down on it. Okay, so that's that one. that's that one. So now our rod is nice and sturdy in the J-hooks. And then the last step, which we'll show now, is to just finish off the angle brackets where your hole is or your 3-inch screw went through. There's some mushroom caps that can be used. So basically, you just insert those and push them in, and that's going to give you a nice finished surface on those angle brackets. Okay, so our upper half of our double hang section is all set to go. Okay, the next step we're going to show you is how to assemble the drawers. The assembly of the drawers is actually quite easy. Basically what we have to do is put together the 4 sides of the box and put in the bottom. So we've got 2 of the box sides of our box put together already. We'll just show you kind of the mechanism on how to do the remainder. The connection that the box sides are attached to each other is using a cam bolt and cam nut system. So our cam bolts are basically screwed in to the sides, and I would just take it to where the black bushing actually connects to the wood. You don't want to over tighten that. Then these cam bolts are put into the holes into the back, and we then want to lock everything in place with our cam nuts. So these are put in. There's arrows on the cam nuts to show their location. And one tip here is you should not really crank too hard on these, just nice and slow and firm to lock them in place. Okay? So we have now our 3 sides in place. The next step is to put in the bottom. Now, a new John Lewis home feature is that the bottoms of the drawers are felt lined, so that's a very nice feature. So these now get slid in to the grooves that are in the sides of the boxes. The next step is to take your drawer face. We've already put in our cam bolts, and basically now this is an exercise in locking that into place. So that gets pushed down. Again, we take our cam nuts and connect that in place as well. So those go in, tightly secured. Those go in, tightly secured, and we'll do the other ones after. So basically you have your box with the front, sides, and bottom all ready to go. Our next step, which is pretty straightforward, is to put on the handle. You've got a nice brushed nickel handle with some screws that come in from the back that you can do on your own. And then there's a few bumpers, some rubber bumpers that come with the assembly that you can put on the back side of the front face. Okay, so that'll be how the general box is constructed. Okay, the next step in the installation process is to customize your tower. The towers are set up so you can customize them however you like. You can have a full tower of adjustable shelves, you can have drawers, you can have doors, you can have baskets. For our installation video, we're going to show you how to install one drawer, and then you can take it from there. So basically what we'd like to do is we're going to have a shelf at this location. We're then going to have an 8-inch drawer below that. We're then going to have 2 shoe shelves below that. That's our design. And then above this location we're going to have 2 more adjustable shelves. So we'll move down to the drawer area here now. And what we're going to have to do now is we're going to try to locate the slides for the drawers. And the way that the slides are set up, there's a knob on the outside portion of the female component of the slide, and these actually sit in the grooves for your tower. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be sitting our drawer at this elevation here. So I have to mount the slides on the drawer box at the proper location. So the proper location is 3¼ inches down from this shelf. Now if we move over to the drawer, here's the side of the drawer, there are 2 lines that are actually scribed in the side of the drawer. There's one about 1 inch down, and then there's one about 3¼ inches down. So that's the line that we're going to screw our male component of the slide on. So using your using your 1/2 inch screws, these will go in and center it on the adjustment holes. The adjustment holes are the long oval holes that are in the slide. So we're going to center them on that location. I'm just going to leave those 2 in on their own for now. After you put that into the tower and make sure everything's level, you can come back and you can put in 2 more securement screws in the securement holes here. Okay? So the next step after that's done is to go back to the tower, and we're going to install the female portion of this slide, and basically we're going to put it in place. We're then going to be using the 1 inch black screw, and this can be hand screwed in or using your drill. Okay, so we'll just snug that one up, and that's then going to be the drawer slide on the side of your tower. We're then going to take our drawer, pull out our slides, and install it. It's a nice full extension slide. I see that we have a little bit more of a gap here than here, so then all you'd have to do is take your drawer out, have to make some fine adjustments to that slide in order to get it perfectly level. Okay, we've now finished our drawer installation. It's all in place. To finish off this job, basically, we are now going to put our adjustable shelves in the tower. In your closet in a box, you're going to get 2 pre-cut adjustable shelves. The ends are finished, and they're pre-drilled for the adjustable shelf pins. So this is one of the pre-cut ones. We're just going to place that into position. So these can be positioned every 4 inches in the grooves that are within your tower. If you have extra shelving and it's at least 24 inches, you can cut that down for a 24-inch shelf. And after you've cut it down to the 24 inches in width, basically you really just have to insert the pins. But in order to insert the pins, there's a method to do that. You take one of your shelf end clips and you use that as a jig. So the shelf end clip goes on the end of your rail, and you use that bottom hole on the shelf end clip as a pilot. With a 1/8 inch bit, you drill a pilot hole through the bottom hole. Try to get that as square as possible. Then you change bits to a 1/4 inch bit. And the 1/4 inch bit is to be drilled approximately 1 inch down into this wood. So I've got a black magic marker line on that. And once again, we'll get this as square as we can. Using the pilot hole that we did with the 1/8 inch bit. And we've now drilled our holes for our adjustable shelf pins. So those get pushed in. Like to tap those in just so that the shoulder of that pin comes in contact with the wood. And then we can insert that into the tower. So I want to put my tower right at this location here. And that's the last adjustable shelf in the closet in a box. For those adjustable shelves that you cut, if there's some small chips or some markings on the edges, you can use the stain pen, and that can touch up any of those nicks or scratches on the end. Lastly, if you have a shoe shelf, which is what we have here, you can also take the shoe shelf and put it on an angle. A lot of people like to do this. You basically put the back rail up one groove and the bottom and the front rail down one groove, and then you can have your shoes on an angle. Okay, so that is basically the installation of our closet in a box, the Deluxe model. We've added an 8-inch drawer, a double hang section, a long hang section, and you're now ready to load it up with your clothing. Okay, we finished our closet installation and have now loaded it up with clothing and other items. So you can see how fantastic the closet looks. We've got a ton of clothing in here, both hanging and folded, and a lot of other items as well. Really what a properly designed closet looks like, making full use of all of your wall space. We've got a nice small section for long hang, but still it's got a lot of capacity here. You can put boxes, other taller items on this top shelf. We've got some plants in that location here. Our tower, you can have baskets, hats, folded clothes like sweaters. This shelf we have keys, cell phone, magazines. You've got a drawer. Lower section of the tower, you've got shoes that can be stored in that area. Beneath the tower you could probably put more shoes or other boxes as well. On the double hang section, you can see that there's even room for other folded items on this lower shelf. And on the lower hang of the double hang section, we've got a number of sweaters and shirts and some pants that are folded over as well. Lastly, up top, if you've got some off-season stuff, you can put that on the top shelf. We've got some sports gear up there. So that's it. That concludes our installation video for the John Lewis Home Deluxe Closet in a Box system. We hope you've enjoyed it. Congratulations if you'd followed along, and best of luck with your own installation.